Today I am making a video on irregular verbs in Spanish. Well, sort of. So we've already talked about irregular verbs, right? Those irregular verbs that we've talked about, you had to memorize in a song. Tener estuve, estar estuve, ir fui también ser. Right? And that song gives you an idea what all of the yo forms of the irregular preterites are.
First, we need to talk about what we already know. And we know how to conjugate regular verbs in the preterite.
So again, as a refresher, the AR verb endings are e, aste, o, amos, aron. Astes being the vosotros form that you won't be tested on. A good verb that we like to use is always bailar. Today we'll use cantar. Now, to conjugate cantar into the preterite, it's a regular verb, so I can easily just take off the ending and add the appropriate ending for my subject. For example, yo canté, tú cantaste, usted cantó, nosotros cantamos, and ellos, ellas, ustedes cantaron. Just for fun, cantasteis. Just so you can see the ER, IR endings one more time. For the preterite, e, iste, io, imos, isteis, ieron. Let's try a regular ER verb. Everyone's favorite verb is always comer. So again, just like before, I take away the ending and I add the appropriate ending for whatever my subject is. So, yo comí, tú comiste, ella, usted comió, nosotros comimos, ellos, ellas, ustedes comieron. In Spanish 1 and in Spanish 2, we've learned about verbs that have two vowels next to each other. And some of them are in the irregular song that we memorized, like traer. It has two vowels next to it in the infinitive, right? The A and the E. Most other words that have two vowels next to it follow a different pattern than traer.
Now you have to learn about the new stuff, which is almost as scary as...
So an example of that would be destruir or leer or creer, oír, and caerse. These ones all are mostly regular, except for two things. First thing, in the ella, usted, and the ellos, ellas, ustedes forms, they have a Y after their stem and before the ending. When they're conjugated in those tenses. Rule number 2 is that you can't forget your accents on the I's. So in the yo form, we'll take creer as an example. In the yo form, creer is like it normally would be. Creí, with an accent on the I. In the to form, now you're going to add an accent to the I. creíste. In the él, ella, usted form, remember that we add a Y, so it takes care of that I, and we don't have an I, but we do have creyó. In the nosotros form, creímos, we have an I again, so we need to make sure that we add the accent. In the vosotros forms, we also have an I, so we have to make sure to put it on the first I. Creísteis. In the ellos, ellas, ustedes form, again, we have a Y, so we get rid of the need for an I. So we have creyeron. Again, with these verbs, you always have a Y in the él, ella, usted. And the ellos, ellas, ustedes form. So you don't have an I there, so you don't need an accent on any I's in that form.
Now you have to learn about the new stuff, which is almost as scary as gas. I should say, it's okay.